Give a little of yourself. Cure your greed, purify your wealth. Look around at where you live. Look at all the good you have to give. Give a little of yourself. There's a hand somewhere to hold, a mouth to feed. There's so much that we can do for so many who are in need. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves. Know Allah sees each and every hidden deed. Give a little of yourself.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Fiqh of Zakah. Episodes, programs, information about the topic of Zakah. Previously, we spoke about the importance of this topic, why we need to learn it, how we have to implement it, and some of the important points of how to measure what Zakah is, and especially Nisab, which takes us to that point. I have with me today Sheikh Mohammad Salah, who's going to expound more. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh, for being with us today.
Jazak Jamil, Jazakallahu khairan, and it's my pleasure.
Sheikh, just to recap slightly for our viewers here, and even for myself, previously we spoke about the Nisab of gold and silver. And you said a very poignant point. You spoke about the evidence that was involved and why some scholars, and you said the Jumhur, believe, especially when it comes to women's jewellery, that it shouldn't have any zakah on it, even if it goes beyond the nisab, because this is something that she adorns herself with. But you said, and the opinion that you follow, and the one that you recommended, was that Abu Hanifa, he does include this as something zakatable. So my question is to you, when it comes to Abu Hanifa's opinion, the other scholars say that if gold is used as an investment and increases, then it can be used as something to be zakatable, the term that we're using. Why does Abu Hanifa differ and use it like this, Sheikh?
Bismillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyhi wa Mustafa, Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Praise be to Allah, and may the best peace and blessings be upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. To answer your question, I would have to quote again the hadith which Imam Abu Hanifa relied on. The hadith of Aisha, al-Mu'mineen, and Asma bint Yazid, and Amr bin Shu'aib, when he narrated the two women who entered upon the Prophet ﷺ while wearing two bracelets of gold. And he said, you got to pay zakah on it, or else Allah, the Almighty, will give you two bracelets of fire on the Day of Judgment. And in the case of Aisha, she was wearing silver rings, and he asked her whether she pays zakah on it or not. What really makes me feel more comfortable with this view, that the fiqh committees, whenever they discuss this mas'ala, they say it is safer to pay zakah on women's jewelry, even if she wears them on a regular basis. Why? Because of the general evidences of zakah. Whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, and whenever He said, وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ مَعْلُومٌ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ, there is a due known designated right for the poor in the wealth of the rich, the believers. It does not specify that to exclude women's jewelry, for instance. So because of umum al-adillah, or the generality of evidences, this is what I feel comfortable with it, even though my shayukh would go with the opinion of the vast majority of the scholars. But when I noticed, when I was examining and studying this mas'ala, that by the end they would say, yet it is better and safer with regards to your deen to pay zakah on that. But it is worth of mentioning here, if somebody said, I'm following the opinion of al-Jumhur, then it is valid 100%, and he or she is not blameworthy. I'm glad I said he or she, because that will take us to another thing, which is, what if somebody, a male, is wearing gold? We all understand this is haram, and it's a major sin. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when he held two things, gold and silk, and says these two items are prohibited for the men of my ummah, and they are permissible for women. And when he saw one of his companions was wearing a gold ring, he took it off his finger, he threw it away and said, why would one of you tend to wear a burning coal around his finger or in his hand. So many indications that it is haram for men to wear gold or silk. Okay. What if somebody still wears a Rolex watch or a gold watch or? So it's haram. Does it mean because he's wearing something it is haram that it is not zakatable? No, it is zakatable. Same if a woman uses gold, which is not for her, as for instance, you visit some people, they have gold utensils, silver or gold utensils. This is haram. And it's haram to be used by men or women to drink in gold or silver glasses or eat with the spoons or forks or knives which were made of silver or gold. But in this case, there is a general consensus that is zakatable. But it's a woman who's using it according to the Jumhur. No, this is not jewelry. This is utilizing gold in something that is prohibited. So this wealth, if it attains an nisab by itself or in addition to other positions, it must be zakatable.
Jazakallah. Okay, I'm going to hold up on something else. Actually, I'm going to say to you, bravo, you've done well, because I asked you in the last episode about the zakah of gold, and you gave an answer, I think $3,300. Well, you're right on it. I mean, I just checked the latest price. It's 85 grams of gold is approximately $3,300, and 595 grams of silver is approximately $1,010. So I've got a question for you, something you said before, and I think for me it was a bit confusing, because as usual when we look at things, we're not really looking at them with an open scale. You said it's
well, I'm sorry, I didn't intend to confuse you.
No, you didn't confuse me, actually. It's just, I think, the limitations that we have sometimes. And I think this is why studying a topic like this for all of us is very important. You said it's better for the poor person, okay, that when we look at giving zakah, okay, we calculate it, especially in currency, we look at the value of silver, and we'll calculate it. For example, the value of silver now would be $1,000, and that's the nisab of the amount of...
The value of 595 grams of silver.
And the 85 grams of
gold. That is
gold...
equivalent to 200 dirham of silver, the
that's
nisab.
Right. So then the gold, which is 85 grams, is of course 3,000, so the nisab would be more. So I said to you, well, 3,000 is more. Of course, that would benefit the poor. But you said, no, the 1,000, so explain yourself.
Because that would increase the area of those who pay zakah or must pay zakah.
So they increase the number of people, for example.
When we said the two commodities, gold and silver, are the main currencies in the past, and basically we go about by calculating our zakah even on today's wealth, paper money, cash, investment, stock, shares, all of that, through calculating against the nisab of gold or silver. We said, which one will we follow? We will follow the lowest value, the value of the lower. So silver normally is lower. So if this is the case, you just mentioned that the value of 995 grams of silver is how much? 1,000 plus. So that means every person who possesses 1,000 or perhaps $1,100 for one entire year, beyond their basic needs, must pay zakah on that. Versus if we go by gold, the value is $3,300. So many people who fall in short of the value of gold wouldn't have to pay zakah. That's why we consider what's more beneficial and useful for the poor. And as far as applauding my wild guesses, it's basically because we're around, or the month of Ramadan, it's just around the corner, and people, most people, like to pay their zakah during the month of Ramadan, which is a praiseworthy act, because the deeds, the reward for the deeds will be doubled and multiplied. But we have to remember one thing, that many people, whenever their zakah is due, a couple of months before Ramadan, they say, I'd like to postpone it so that I can pay it in Ramadan and earn the reward, double and multiply. We say, no, sorry, you can't do that. Once it is due, you got to pay it on its fixed time, and you should not postpone it. And if you would really like to pay it in Ramadan, you can pay it in advance.
That's right.
So this way, your hawl will be shorter, maybe 2-3 months. But once again, we have to focus and aim at the benefit of the poor, the maslahah of the faqir.
So there's 2 points here that you're saying. Firstly, on this point is that we follow the whole, the lunar year. You don't follow your desires. I want to pay in Ramadan, in Sha'ban, I want to pay in this month. And the second is, which I think is greater, is that that the way that you described, that more people will be paying zakah if we follow the system that's same, because we're always thinking about the poor, not about the rich. Okay, I've got another point, which was don't rely on us for the calculations, but rather, again, let's stick to the measurements again, which were, again, Sheikh, if you can remind us, 85 grams of gold, and how much for silver?
595 grams of silver.
Okay, that's great. Jazakallah khair. All right, now that goes on to automatic. The next sort of topic, I think, would be, you spoke about currencies before in the previous episode, and you said, look, we change it, we do the exchange rates on the days. Now with currencies, things change, things fluctuate, things go up and down. I mean, how do we calculate really currencies? Is it that easy to do, Sheikh?
Whenever it is due to pay your zakah, you estimate approximately how much money you have, whether in saving or investment, stock shares, all of that. Then you translate that into or compare it versus the value of the nisab of, we agreed, the silver. If it exceeds that nisab or equals that nisab, then you must pay on it 2.5% once you complete or round up the hawl, the lunar year. And that will be done on regular basis every year. So if you have this in a saving account every year, you have, because I'm emphasizing this information because some people think that the zakah is due once per lifetime, particularly if your wealth is not increasing. One of the conditions of the mal or the wealth in order to be zakatable, so that you pay zakah on it, is an-nama, growth. Somebody would say, well, I'm not investing my money, I'm saving it towards my son's college education or my daughter's wedding, or I'm planning to go for Hajj 10 years from now, I'm saving up, but it attains the nisab. Even if it is not growing, because if this money is with somebody else, it is subject of growth. You're not investing in it. And that's why Umar ibn Khattab said, invest in the wealth of the orphan, lest that the zakah will devour it. So whether you save it in a saving account and it is stagnant, or you're investing in it, it is zakatable, once it attains the nisab.
Great, okay, we're going to take a short break now, inshallah, and return in a couple of minutes on the fiqh of zakah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Give a little of yourself, cure your greed, purify your wealth.
Those who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for those who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, for those who want to enter the Jannah, the paradise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for the believers. And that's why we need to learn and we need to get to know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us, so that we submit ourselves to the orders of Allah. And this is knowledge that we need to learn. Why we're spending more time to look into the verses and to the meanings of the verses in depth, so that we can get to learn from it what we need ourselves to be steadfast, to be obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to ponder over the meanings of the miraculous words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.